Hi, Teresa. How are you? Welcome. Excited to meet you. I'm actually going to wait just a couple of minutes and just to see if anyone else comes in, but then I'm just going to go ahead and get started because it's just, I don't, quite honestly, I'm only expecting a couple of us. So we'll, um, we'll get started in just a few minutes. Where are you watching from? Hi, everyone. Welcome to the live. If you could just go in there, if you'd like to shout out where you're watching from. Oh, Alabama. Nice, nice. Welcome. Welcome, everyone. This is my first time doing this, so we're going to figure this out as we go. But what I'll do in just a minute, I'll get started because I know time is really important for everyone. And so I'll just give it another 30 seconds or so, and I'll just get started with the topic today. So I'm just going to go ahead and get started. So welcome everyone. If you're on the East Coast or welcome, good afternoon. I guess if you're on the West Coast, good morning. But wanted to do a quick live just to give an update on everything that's been going on in terms of my personal experience, but then I've gotten so many emails, so many questions, and I thought it'd be helpful maybe to get on a live and maybe have a discussion through the chat. And I had planned this all before the whole situation happened on Sunday. So with everything going on with all of the discussion around with all of the discussion around alopecia, I thought, why not bring our community together and talk about it and talk about our experiences, or at least in the chat we can talk through that. So if you're new to Nourish Your Crown channel, hey Mama Cash, how are you? Is it Mama Cash? I want to say it the right way. So hi. So if you're new to the channel, my name is Lynn, and the channel is called Nourish Your Crown. And I started this channel, quite frankly, because it's what I needed and wanted. Carolyn, okay, thanks, Carolyn. Oh yeah, I wanted to email you too. It's the channel that I wish I had when I started this journey a couple of years ago. It was actually a couple of years ago now. And so what I'm learning essentially is some of the causes of alopecia, why it's affecting me, but then what I'm doing simultaneously is capturing all this information and sharing it out with everyone. And so today I thought it would be a great time to do a quick recap, talk about my personal experience with alopecia, my journey, where I'm at right now. I had a relapse. So I definitely want to talk to you about that, especially, hey, sweet angel, especially since having COVID. I don't know if you all know COVID can impact it. So I'm going to talk a little bit about that. So I'll start out with, again, the overview of the channel, why I'm doing it, my journey so far, what I'm learning, and then we'll definitely, since we have the chat, you can put in your questions or things that you want to maybe discuss. We can do that as well. I anticipate will be about 30 minutes or so. I'm happy to stay longer if you want, but I want to make the most of our time together. So again, thanks for coming. Hey, Philly, I'm in Delaware, so we're pretty close. I'm from Philly too. So anyway, I'm going to get started. And last time I'm going to say this, my name is Lynn, and I just created the channel Nourish Your Crown as a resource, as a tool, as a guide, as a place that we could connect and learn and grow from each other. If you haven't seen my story, if you go into the channel, you can see there's a video that says PCOS hair loss 1 and 2. That gives you a recap. I'm not going to go through the whole story there, but essentially I have been dealing with alopecia for years, but not really knowing the why. And so during COVID, I didn't decide to, it happened where I ended up losing a significant amount of my hair. The crown, I had patches all over the place. And that kind of was the wake up call for me that I needed to figure out what was going on in my body, which was causing the hair loss. And I had, as I said in the story early in my journey earlier, I have been struggling with this for years and not really paying attention to it. just wearing more braids and wearing wigs and all different types of styles. And so, again, the pandemic experience basically helped me to sit down, get some care, go to a dermatologist, meet with my doctor. I've done a ton of research to try to figure out what's going on. And so, again, I'm not going to go through the whole history of it, but my hair started to grow back in around this time last year was when it really started to grow back. And I had, if you see the video, I had big patches, and I was diagnosed with CCCA, telogen effluvium. They lumped a whole bunch of different things together. And so, but what I really ended up doing was focusing on the internal. So I realized after reading, even my doctor was saying, this is from inflammation. My experience with this alopecia, and alopecia is a generic term for hair loss. And there are several different types of alopecia. So there's androgenic alopecia, which is, you can see it when it happens, which I'm actually dealing with that too, with plus menopause. Dealing with that too. So here, and then it sometimes can go here, certainly in the crown. Then there's traction alopecia. They're quite hormonal. There's so many different types. What I was diagnosed was the early scarring CCCA. So, which means I was at risk for losing my hair, particularly in here because it was coming out. But the scarring is when the scalp starts to sort of bald over, which essentially means the hair follicles they're not growing, or they're not producing the hair shaft. And so the key to that, I will say this, is if you think you have it, if you are struggling with it, find a dermatologist. I know it's tough. You'll see my story there. I had a horrible experience with my first dermatologist. The second one was a little better, but I would highly recommend getting a diagnosis. And so I got the diagnosis in December 2020, January 2021. In the meantime, I had been starting to change my diet. I had been starting to increase anti-inflammatory foods because I wanted to reduce the inflammation internally as well as on my scalp. I did not use the medication that the doctor recommended as a topical steroid initially for the first year of doing this. I only used it a couple of times, but I'm going to bring you up to speed of what I've been doing lately with it because of this last situation that happened. And so the hair started growing back and I was doing well. And I made a commitment that if I learn something that helps, I'm going to tell people. Now, I know that everybody's story is different. And so I never expect or intend. First of all, I'm not a physician. I'm not a nutritionist. So I'm not going to prescribe anything, but I did want to just share what was helping me. And so maybe that'll help you find something, right? It'll point you in the best direction for your experience or for your journey. So I was doing really, really good in the fall. And then life happened. So I had started to put out the video. I don't know if you saw the video on stress. I highly recommend looking at that one, the video on stress, and then the video on foods for hair loss, because I had just produced those videos. And then something happened in November that was just earth shattering, right? So something happened within our family that was significant. And hindsight, I realize now that a lot of my hair loss is tied to stress, and it's tied to me having to really learn how to navigate and deal with the stress. Even though I pray, even though I have friends and support, our bodies interpret things very differently. So anyway, the major stress event happened in November, and my hair it was starting to shed a lot. Normally it sheds in the fall, but it was really, really starting to shed a lot in November, right after November. And then the incident in November triggered another incident in December with another family member. And so that was another, quite frankly, it was hard. It was a hard experience to navigate through and to go through. And all the time, I'm not even thinking of anything major, but my hair is shedding. It's continuing to shed. On top of that, I had been using a protein type of gel that I think now, again, hindsight is 2020, was too much protein for my hair. So stress event in November, stress event in December. Then at the end of December, my husband got COVID. another stress event. And then in January, I got COVID, another stress event. And in February, I had major loss again. And so what I realized, and I've done a lot of research on COVID. I don't know if anyone in the live has had COVID, but one of the things that some dermatologists are saying that is if you have alopecia or versions of alopecia and you get COVID, there are sometimes, because COVID attacks sort of your weakest point, it could end up causing more hair loss. And what had happened to me. But what I will say is this. The one thing that I think is different is I didn't go completely bald in the center, and the patches, you can see here, there's still some growth that needs to happen. So I ended up cutting it all off. I got scissor happy. I just cut it off and cut some more today. But all that to say, I think there's something to be said for the supplementation when dealing with alopecia, and figuring out what supplements might work best for you, knowing that supplements are just that. They are not a substitute for good nutrition and exercise and sleep and all of those things that are really, really important for us when we're on this journey with alopecia. And so right now, I feel like I'm kind of starting again. I don't know if I'm starting at ground zero necessarily, but I'm starting at maybe 3 or 4. And it also made me remember that I needed to stay on track with my eating, with rest. You hear me talk about that a lot in the other videos. It's so important, y'all, for us to get good sleep, and to slow down and to allow our bodies to heal. The one thing that I'll say is, and I've seen this, you can see all the stories that came out this week. There's so many other people who are dealing with this. And I don't know about y'all, but I know a lot of people were triggered in a lot of different ways. I'm not going to touch the situation in terms of trying to, give my opinion on the situation itself. But what it was a reminder to me when I saw the notes and I saw the emails and I saw the stuff, the people talking and people, quite frankly, minimizing alopecia. And it's not to be minimalized, right? I don't think we need to, idolize it or worship it or think that it's everything, but I also don't think we need to minimize it, because anybody that's on this call, on this live, knows right now that this is quite frankly a traumatic experience. A lot of things are tied to our hair, and so what I'm hoping, even as I go through this journey, and what I'm learning is I want to go through it in a way that is kind to my body and to myself and to, when I'm talking with other people. And so that's pretty much that's the whole story right now. Like in terms of my where I'm at, I was devastated when in February, when I was in the shower and my hair, it was like leaping out again. I was devastated. I was about to shut the channel down because I'm like, well, what's the point? I thought I was doing this. And then it was like, just calm down. I'm telling you what I thought, just calm down. Go back to the basics, which was nutrition, self-care, exercise, hydration, and focusing on those areas and slowing down as best you can and using the resources to our advantage. And let's see what happens. And so it's starting to grow back. It's filling in again. And so I know I'm confident that there is something to be said for, again, taking the supplements, using resources. I will tell you this. I didn't put this in the video, but this is the latest thing that I've been using. And it is a scalp massager. I don't know if anybody uses a scalp massager. I got this on Amazon. It was a pretty cheap one, but I use this now 15 minutes every night. And I'll just use thank you, Sunshine Flower. I just use this every night for 15 minutes. And I really think it's helping, because one of the things when you look at the research, it talks about our hair follicles and how you need blood supply. In fact, this book that I'm reading, I'm going to do a video on this called Eat to Beat Disease. And he talks about alopecia a little bit, not much, but he talks about the need for blood supply to the hair follicles. And this right here, This right here, oh, you're welcome, Deacon. This right here, I honestly believe it's helping to keep that blood circulation going. And so it's now become part of my nightly ritual. 15 minutes before bed, I'll go in and I am using another oil that I put together that I'm just trying, and I'll do that for 15 minutes. And that I'm trusting that that's going to stimulate some of those blood follicles. I actually read a scientific study about that as well. So, and there's also, just so you know, I'll give you another tip if you haven't seen this already. I mean, there's so many YouTubers out here that are really putting out really good information. But one thing that is really helpful has been rosemary oil. And so putting a couple of drops of rosemary oil in your shampoo or like as with another oil, of course, not just plain. That's something that you can put on your scalp or in your shampoo to help also block DHT, which is a part of the androgenic alopecia. That means when our hormones are super, super high, testosterone is too high. And the other thing that I did was I'll tell you all, in March, I got about, I think it was about 40 different markers of lab work done. Because I think the other thing that's really important is to find out what's going on in your body. Find out with the blood work. And if you can, I know it's not comfortable, but to get a biopsy, because the biopsy is going to let you know what's actually going on in your scalp. The blood work is going to let you know what's going on internally. And I'm actually about to do a food sensitivity test too through Everlywell. So I'll do a video on that to let you know how that goes. But the blood work that I got and I recommend getting is complete blood count. Then I would say thyroid, because there sometimes can be something going on with the thyroid. My doctor tested me for lupus. And then you can also get a test for testosterone. You want to get a test for CRP, which is it's an inflammatory marker in the blood. So it's CRP, I believe is what it's called. And so those are some of the vitamin D, huge vitamin D. If you know Dr. Berg on I think it's Dr. Berg on YouTube. There's a whole series on vitamin D. It directly impacts hair loss, and for Black people, especially in the US, tend to be low in vitamin D. So that hormone is really important. So vitamin D is really, really important. So those are some of the things. I might do like a one pager that tells you all of the different blood tests that I got. But you know what? Everything came back, which is a good thing. Every single thing came back in a good area, except for my cholesterol was slightly elevated. But everything came back in the green, essentially, except for one marker, and one of them was related to a CO2, and I think that's tied to adrenals, which is tied to stress. So this is me trying to connect the dots, because I would have loved to meet with my doctor and talk about that in more detail, but I'm kind of connecting the dots. So blood work is important. Getting a biopsy is important, and keep looking to find the right doctor until you get someone that actually is going to follow through. Do not feel as though you're asking too much or I'm being too pushy. No, this is your body. This is your choice. So you actively pursue and advocate for yourself when it comes to your healthcare and your medicine. And someone had made a comment about this, I think it was the red light therapy. I've never used red light therapy. I think I had someone reach out to me about it. I've never used it, but I have seen a couple of videos where people have said that it's worked. So I haven't quite gotten there yet. That's the other thing that's pretty exciting is a couple of years ago, people would say, hair loss is permanent. It'll never come back. But if you start looking at the research and start looking at the science and looking at things that are happening, there are more and more either interventions or things that are coming to bear that show us that it may not be a permanent thing. This is the last thing, because I feel like I'm rambling now. So tell me if you have any other questions. Please put any questions in the chat box. But one thing that I heard someone say is, and I never like to claim something as mine. Like I have alopecia, it's mine. But the reality is I'm dealing with it. But someone was talking about, was a physician that was talking about you might have alopecia, but it can go into remission. And I really think that when I was doing the health interventions and now that I'm working on my stress, I think the goal is to get it into remission so that I'm not dealing with the sort of the consequences and the fallout of it as readily. But on the flip side of it, and this is just anybody that knows me, this is kind of the way that I guess I look at things sometimes, is that as hard as this is, I'm discovering new food. I'm learning new things. I'm meeting new people. Who would have thought? I would have never did a YouTube channel a year ago, right? But there is some joy to be found on this journey, and that's what I hope you see. I mean, I think I said it in one of the other videos. God has baked in healing in nutrition, and He's baked in healing in all these different things in people, and that healing might happen now. It's going to look different for everybody. But I read again the other day that when Jesus was here, He never turned down one person for a healing. So I'm not going to keep going and going and going, but I do think that we can support one another and we can encourage one another, and we're in it for the long haul, and that's okay. That's okay. So do y'all have any questions, any specific questions or anything that you want to share? Or even any other topics? I'm really thinking about doing things like I want to interview a trichologist. I want to interview some physicians and interview some nutritionists. Are you interested in that kind of conversation? Like, what are the things that you would want to see in a video? I'm looking at doing a deeper dive into some food things. I'm reading this book now, and he addresses a lot of core areas. It's called Eat to Beat Disease. And so I'm going to be looking at that. Carolyn, no, I have not visited a trichologist yet, but I'm certainly thinking about that might be my next move. I also wanted to interview a trichologist. I think there are a couple of more that are going on. So, okay, internal health, got it. I'm writing these down too as we go, so I know, because I love to do research, especially if it's going to help us. So if there are any topics that you don't have time to look up, but you want me to look up and pull some content together, I'm also going to be working on just more of the food things, because I think that's probably been the biggest game changer for me. So I'm going to have some salad recipes coming up. I did a quick PDF booklet for the smoothie recipes. I'm going to put that out there as well. I'm actually going to look up the red light therapy too. I might do some research on that too, because I've seen it on some videos, but I haven't. Okay. Crochet Deacon. I stopped injections. Sure, the one. Got it. I hear you. That's the thing that's so hard about this sometimes too, is we have to try it out. We don't know if it's going to work. And it takes like 3 to 4 months to even see results sometimes. And so that's where a lot of faith comes in to figure out, what direction should we go in. Carolyn, I did see some things from Dr. Dre I've watched her videos for other things. But I'll look at those as well. So everybody, Dr. Dre is a dermatologist. She's on YouTube, and she does a lot of good content about alopecia and skincare. So definitely check her channel out. So any other thoughts, questions, ideas, things that I haven't answered, things that you didn't see in the video that you have? Oh, okay. The autoimmune protocol. So that's a great question. Blessed. I love that name too. Blessed. So I didn't actually go to see a nutritionist. What I ended up doing was doing my own research on YouTube, and really what I found out essentially is if it grows from the ground, for the most part, it's anti-inflammatory. I'm exaggerating, but the other thing is that many of us have food triggers or different triggers. And sometimes those triggers can cause inflammation in our body. So that's also another thing to be mindful of. And so I would say my protocol is berries. I definitely try to increase my leafy greens. I'm learning about broccoli sprouts and those types of things. So making sure that I'm getting greens and also protein. And so I realized this episode that I had not been getting enough protein. And so there are foods that of course can increase inflammation, but you have to figure, I think we have to figure those out for ourselves. But leafy greens, there are even spices like turmeric and cinnamon and cardamom are autoimmune or foods that can support reducing inflammation. So that's a great question there. Let's see here. Do you use a topical steroid? That's a great question. So this last go round, when this last post-COVID scenario happened, I did start using it because I started getting some itching and I started to get some tender spots. So I definitely used it this go round. And so I would probably continue to use it as well. I will use it if it flares up. If I feel it coming up, then I'm going to use it. And so, yeah, that's a great question as well. Post about the autoimmune. Oh, okay. I see what you're saying. You know what? There are quite a few what they call functional doctors who work with and do like the autoimmune sort of protocol. I've seen some of that as well. I think that's a great option. Mine was primarily just focusing on anti-inflammatory foods. And I don't know if you can tell. So when I had the first episode, this whole thing was gone. And so you can see I have hair there. This whole back part was gone. I have hair there. I cut it again. I keep cutting it. But I think, and I can tell, I think if you're dealing with this, you can tell when your hair feels my hair would feel wiry, like it would feel wiry. My scalp would burn, my scalp would itch. And that's when I knew I was having sort of a major episode. And I have not used any herbs, powders on my hair specifically. I have not. I've seen that, Carolyn. I've seen, a couple of things I've seen there's a lot of people on YouTube that are doing this, so that's kind of the good thing about it. But yeah. Oh, so you were using the Trader Joe's shampoo. It's called AG Organics, I think the name is. You know what, TD, somebody, I knew I should have had that. I forgot to get my medication. That is not the steroid that I used. The one that I used, I'll put it in the community tab after this so you can see the name. But I ended up, it starts with an M. And I asked that she gave me the steroid that was the least strong, essentially, because I didn't want to do a topical, I didn't want to do a steroid that got into the bloodstream, essentially. And so that's what she said, that the steroid that she gave me did not do that. Yeah. So Blessed, one thing that I would recommend is, I think I would recommend trying to figure out what the cause is definitely, if you haven't already, get a full blood panel, get the biopsy, and then you can probably do a test like I'm about to do, like Everlywell, the food sensitivity test, to see if there's maybe a food trigger that might be causing it. I had to stop drinking milk. I eliminated milk because that was a trigger for me. So there might be other ones, but I definitely eliminated dairy, full fat dairy from my diet. I can use ghee, if you have heard of ghee, because they pull the lactose out of it. It's the lactose that actually causes the trigger and that causes the inflammation. I will say this, don't quote me on this, but I saw some stuff floating around on the interwebs that there was some pharmaceutical company was coming out with a drug that they thought could help alopecia areata. It was by Pfizer, actually. They've done some trials and things of that nature. So we'll see how that goes. Alex, okay, I'm thinking I might have to do wheat too. I'm hoping not, but we'll see. I'm going to do a test on that. There are quite a few foods that cause triggers. The other thing that I'll say is what I'm learning too is our gut, our stomach is also tied to some of these issues with the alopecia. So getting our gut in order, so taking probiotics, eliminating triggers are going to be things that are going to help as well, from what I'm understanding. So I think that's really important. I actually found a couple of nutritionists that I would love to interview and get their insight and get some feedback from them on taking care of ourselves from our gut perspective. So yeah. Any other Miss D, sugar. Y'all, the stuff I'm reading about sugar, and I know it's a doozy, but sugar, reducing sugar, I realized early on that I had to do that as well. Sugar is a biggie. So just take that for, don't shoot the messenger, right? So any other thoughts, questions? I'm so excited, y'all. I'm so excited y'all chimed in. If you want to do this again, do you want to do this again where there's actually another streaming service that I can use where you can come up on the video. So I think I might like that better than just me sitting here talking. So if you're interested in that, can you hit that thumbs up in that or the like, or put a note in there. And the next time that I do this, I'll try to have it set up so that we can do it more like not necessarily a Zoom, but so that we can, if you wanted to jump in and ask your question or talk back and forth, if that sounds like something you would want to do, I'm certainly open to investing in that and then setting something like that up. And we could do this like on a monthly basis, where you want to talk about, like a Zoom platform. So where you want to talk about different topics, where you want to talk about your story, or you just need some encouragement, or share what you're learning and share a new product. I'm all about trying things out too. So if that's something you're interested, okay, so there are enough people in here, so that gives me a yes. So I'm going to learn this StreamYard, y'all, this next platform, and try to set it up so we can do something like that. So I'm actually going to get ready to wrap it up. If you have any other thoughts or ideas, if this was helpful for you, please, again, leave a note in the chat. I might end up replaying this once I try to edit it if it doesn't feel like I rambled too much. I heard about Amla. Yeah, but you know what? I think we need a show. I think we need a live where everyone can come in and talk about what they're doing and what progress they're seeing. I think that might be a good idea. And we can do it, and we can all just share our ideas about what's working, what's not working. Maybe we'll do that for the next one. Maybe we'll do that for the next month. Let's make that a plan for May, where we get on and it'll just be we can share our ideas and our thoughts like that. That'll be no stress for all of us. Okay. Anyway, I hope y'all have a wonderful weekend. You deserve it. You absolutely deserve it. And so I will continue to be posting. I'll put things out there. This is a tough journey, but it's exciting because we get to do it together, and we're going to learn and grow, and we're going to be better because of it. That's just the end of the day. We're going to be better because of it. We're blessed. And this journey is blessed. You are blessed. And I say at the end of the video sometimes, live well, live blessed, have a beautiful week, and I'll see you in the next video. Take care. Thank you. Thank you. Oh, hey, Deanne. Hey, Alex. I wish I could have called everybody's name on here. Sunshine Flower, Teresa, Alex, TD, Sweet Angel. Thank you. Thank you all. And we'll see you in the next video.